So when it comes to planning for special events, there are some subtle but different nuances in the planning stage, namely in what I'll call just like traditional transportation planning. We're trying to plan for like a typical day. It might be a typical weekday or a typical rush hour period, so we can build the infrastructure and the services to serve that typical day. Special events, of course, we're planning for something that's very atypical. And like Jay highlighted, it's very different for the Kansas City region, although we have a lot of experience hosting multiple events on the same day. So first, let's look to the past to understand how they can describe how things might play out in the future. On the next slide, you'll see, there we go, for the 2026 soccer tournament. The games in Kansas City will be played at the Geha Field at Arrowhead Stadium, or known locally simply as Arrowhead, and the home of the Kansas City Chiefs NFL team. And if we switch to my screen, there we go. Kind of show here what we're talking about. So this is the area of Arrowhead Stadium, and also where the Kauffman Stadium is located, where the Royals play. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit though, so you can get a sense of where this is located within the Kansas City region. So as Jay mentioned, it's a bi-state region. You kind of see the state line right here, and it's located over here at the southeast quadrant of the I-435 and I-70 on the Missouri side of the metro. Now, this is the adjacent interstates. These are critical facilities for the movement of people and goods throughout the region, not only to and from the stadium, but also within and through the region. So it will be important to plan not only for access to the stadium, but to also understand the impacts on traffic in general, because there will be people that are just going about their daily lives and they need to, access their job, their school, or their various activities. So let's start by taking a look at two past events at Arrowhead Stadium and see how they differ, but also how they're similar. Repeats. All right, so here, what we're going to do is we're going to compare two events in 2024. First, an event where there was a Kenny Chesney concert, and we're going to talk about those. We'll focus on the arrival demand. So as I pop this up and show the kind of minute by minute arrivals, let that load here. You'll see once this decides to display itself that let me. There we go. We'll wait for that. So, and we can compare that to the Chiefs versus Broncos later in the year. Now, we'll start with the Chiefs and Broncos because that one is displaying here. And I'll make that a little bit bigger just so you can see. So the Chiefs and Broncos game started at 12 noon. That was kickoff time. Probably like a lot of other markets, tailgating is a very popular thing here at Arrowhead Stadium. So you can see that traffic started to arrive as early as 6 a.m. There's a little bump, around 7:30, and then you start to get a lot of arrivals around the, kind of 9 to 11 a.m. Time range. So, very, very different because of the start time, also just the kind of habits and behaviors of the people that attend the game. And, so that informs what one event looks like. If we shift back to, we'll just have to accept the fact that things sometimes happen on these webinars, and what was displayed here is the rival profile is very different. The Kenny Chesney concert started at 5 p.m. It was a much more compressed. It was about a 2-hour period before the event that all the traffic arrived. And the height of the y-axis, of course, was different. The Chiefs game attracting a much higher level of traffic than the Kenny Chesney event. Let me see if by refreshing something it will. There we go. Easily, though, we could also look at the departure information as well, because there's of course different traffic control activities that will have to take place for the arrivals versus the departure. So that is intended to highlight how they are different. Here we go. Now you can see the departure. It's all, kind of bunched up right around the time when the concert ended. Huge rush right at the end for everybody to get out. Very different than the arrival profile, which was much more spread out. So those are pretty key differences. But something that's also helpful to know is what's similar, because we all know that we can do a lot. We can look to the past to predict what's going to happen in the future, but in many ways, we're just going to have to accept that the events of our soccer tournament or other mega events are going to be, there might not be exactly the same situation in the past that we can use to predict the future. So let's go to something that shows how similar they are. So even though they have very different arrival profiles, different event types, they had, they started at different times of the day. If you look at this split screen view of our top routes analysis, that essentially you can see here on the left, this kind of golden area is the Arrowhead Stadium. And if you look at these two images, they're pretty similar. I mean, there are obviously some subtle differences between them, but something that planners and operators can take away from this is, for an event that's held at Arrowhead Stadium, people are going to use the interstates and the freeways and the major arterials to access that. This is I-435, which is a highway loop that runs around the entire region. This is I-70 coming in from the west. This is I-70 coming in from the east, 435 from the north, and a few other local or state highways. And so this is going to be helpful for the wayfinding and signage. Also, just to reaffirm what a lot of our transportation operators would suspect, but would like to, confirm, is that like we know the routes that people will take to access that, whether they're in a private car or bus or like a ride hailing service. And so now we have a sense of what facilities are going to need to be monitored, which facilities we might need to watch for any kind of spillback. And this is helpful information. So just, this, I'll just mention real quick, this, focuses on traffic at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, but it can just as easily be used to gain traffic insights and support planning efforts in any other location throughout the US and Canada.